Hi everybody, I'm Trish Christ. In this episode of Our Nashville, NECAT and our super crew of teenagers spend some time with Hands on Nashville. President and CEO Lori Shinton and her team are going to show and tell us all the cool things they do in our community. Are you ready, Lori?
Yes.
You ready, super crew?
Yes.
Let's make the show.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
We all know how to talk about our organization during meetings, but what about the chance encounter of a lifetime? You never know who may share your next elevator, notice your logo on a notebook or a tote bag, and ask what you do. What's the clearest, most persuasive thing you can say in a short elevator ride?
We're Nashville's only volunteer resource center. And so in that way, we're unique. And what we do is we connect people, individuals and groups to community need via volunteerism.
Tell me about the start. When did Hands on Nashville start and how was it created?
So it was in 1991, Hands on Nashville was formed. Hal Cato, one of the founders, he wanted to have a way to engage young professionals in volunteering. And he caught on to, I think, the nation's first hands-on. It was Hands-On Atlanta. And he visited it, saw it, and wanted to replicate that here. And he did. So he pulled a group of 8 or 10, I think initially, folks together, and this was pre-technology. And so the stories about how they did this is truly amazing, but they would sit in a small room and they would call up nonprofits and say, can you use volunteers? And then they would write flyers and they would call their friends and they would mail the flyers out, that kind of thing. So technology was definitely a game changer for Hands on Nashville because it allowed multiply that times 1,000, in terms of how many connections can be made. So
let's talk about the process for how a person who's curious about volunteering gets involved.
When you go to HON.org, ultimately, if you choose to volunteer, an account has to be created. So, and that's real simple, just your name and email address, that kind of thing. But you can go in without doing that and look at our calendar or look at our long-term opportunities and just peruse. And so if there's a particular day or time of the week that you want to engage, you can go out there and see what's available. Or if there are particular areas that you're really interested in, like I know that I want to volunteer with children, you can go in and do a search by that and find volunteer opportunities that directly relate to your passion.
Neat.
But
probably environment, animals.
Correct. You run the gamut, arts, animals, anything that you want to volunteer with, it's pretty much available via our website. So once you do that, you just literally sign up to do it. And so if it's our calendar, when the opportunity is posted, it says we need 5 people. And so you would fill one of those slots. You'll get a thank you note about signing up for that spot. And then on that day, you show up and you do the volunteer event. If it's a long-term opportunity, you say you're interested in it, and then the agency follows up with you, and then they set it up. So that's because those opportunities are a little more detailed, or they're a little more specific. And sometimes agencies have requirements. Like, for instance, if they are serving children, sometimes there has to be background checks and things like that. But that agency will email you back and then follow up with all those kinds of details.
That's great. Who does this sort of stuff? Are we talking children, adults? Who does this?
Everybody. So there are some rules around children's engagement and volunteerism. However, we offer a lot of family-friendly volunteer opportunities. A lot of our partners do. So often, a minor has to be accompanied by their parent or some type of guardian on a
that makes sense.
On a volunteer project. But other than that, anybody can go and volunteer. Literally anybody.
And who are we doing this volunteerism for?
So the way in which we meet that need mostly is we have a partnership program, and we have around 130 nonprofit partners.
Wow.
They're not all nonprofits. We also partner with the city. We partner with the school, some of the school systems, et cetera. Typically, they're 501c3s or government facility. What they're able to do is access our technology and put their volunteer opportunities on our website. And what the public sees is they can just type in han.org and go to our calendar or other ways and search for volunteer opportunities to engage in.
How does a nonprofit become part of the Hands on Nashville family?
So connect to us, or we also are trying to connect with nonprofits that have not partnered with us in the past to see if a nonprofit is engaging volunteers and they have good quality volunteer experiences, then we would love to partner with you. And really what I think we do for partners is when they're trying to recruit, we expand that voice tremendously.
Sure.
So that's maybe one of the biggest things that we offer. But it's a real simple process. So we set up a meeting, we talk with the nonprofit, and that's really just to learn and make sure that they're also ready to engage volunteers and are doing it, well and things like that. And then we sign an agreement, and they get trained on our system, and they're able to, begin to post volunteer opportunities and reach out to the community, at least through us.
I am Valerie O.T. Nellis, and I work for Neighbor to Neighbor, formerly the Neighborhoods Resource Center, and we use Hands on Nashville quite a bit to recruit our volunteers for our organization. It's effective, and it's a great way to reach people who want to help and want to participate, want to be engaged. We run several events in the year, and if we don't have volunteers, we just wouldn't have. They wouldn't happen, and they wouldn't happen as effectively and with as much fun or without the diversity of thought. The effectiveness that this variety of people bring to the event is really phenomenal. We have an event called Good Neighbor Day Festival every year, and we utilize about 100 volunteers that day in order to facilitate all of the festival activities. We also have a core group of about 30 volunteers that come on early in the year and help us plan that event. Totally volunteer. Our coordinators are our volunteer coordinators, and they take an event from the very beginning and bring it all the way into its fullness the day of the event. So, and they recruit their volunteers that they need to work with them to make it happen that day. We serve about 3,500 people on that day. And we're hoping to improve that number to about 4,000 this year. And again, the volunteers are really there to make that happen and help it happen well. A great volunteer is committed to the mission of the organization, follows through on their responsibilities. We have had a few people from time to time that haven't done what they say they would do, but by and large, that's a real minority for us. Letting people know what they need to do, I think that's also important on the side of the organization. So having a clear understanding of what the volunteer needs to do for you, and making sure that their skills match that. And if they don't necessarily have the skill set, they at least have the willingness to learn. Nashville is a very giving community. People want to be involved. They care passionately about their community, and this is a way in which they're able to show and reflect that.
When I became the CEO of Hands on Nashville, the first thing I did was reach out to our partners and introduce myself to say, hey, here's me. But also the more important piece was to hear from them, what did they need from Hands on Nashville? Because we exist for them essentially and for the community. And so what I heard from them was that their needs around volunteerism had changed. I think up until that point, most people thought of Hands on Nashville as a one-time volunteer opportunity experience.
Come paint my floor.
That's right. Come paint my floor, come do some landscaping, come paint a wall, etc. What I heard from our partners was that they really needed more long-term committed volunteers. And when I say long-term, I don't want that to be scary because I'm not necessarily saying a lifetime commitment. or even a year commitment. Sometimes a long-term can be just consistency for 3 months, for a quarter, or 6 months. It depends on the nonprofit. But what they said to me was, volunteers, especially when they ask them to do particular tasks, there's some training that goes into it, just like you would an employee. And so it helps them to have that commitment. If I'm going to invest this training in you to do this thing, that you show up and do it for a little while.
And then I think yet another type of partner that you all might have would be a corporate partner.
Yeah.
Tell us about how that works.
So we have a lot of corporate partners, but
That's good.
yeah, generally, the majority of the work that we do with corporations right now is that they may call us up and say, hey, we want to bring 200 people out to volunteer on a specific day in a specific arena. I'll just pick education. And so what we do is, that's a fee-for-service piece of what Hands On Nashville does. And what we do is we find a partner in the education arena, in this example, and then we, with the partner and the corporate partner, we scope out a project that would be suitable for 200 people, and then we essentially project manage that from the beginning to the end. And one of the nice things about partnership with Hands On Nashville in terms of the nonprofits is that we try, to the extent that we can, we try to make those connections back to our partners. So what happens at the end of the event is whatever is done or built or finished, that's for the nonprofit, they get to keep it, et cetera. So it builds capacity for them in that way.
Now tell us about your staff. You have all kinds of folks doing all kinds of things at Hands On Nashville.
Sure. So we have about 10 staff, and then we have 4 AmeriCorps members, and they're part of a larger AmeriCorps program. Our grant is operated through Volunteer Tennessee, which is the state entity that operates it for the federal government. But it is essentially a commitment on an individual's part to do 1,700 hours of service in a year, and they don't get paid a salary for this. They do get a small stipend, and the grant that we operate pays for the stipend for the AmeriCorps members. And so right now we have 15 AmeriCorps members, and 11 of them are outsourced to 5 of our partner agencies.
Wow.
And then we have 4 of them to help our internal capacity as well.
Wow.
It's one of the reason this program is so important is because it really, in a very concrete, real way, addresses a long-term volunteer need for a nonprofit. It's literally 1,700 hours of service.
That's, in what, a regular work year is 2,000 work hours, so
And
that's almost the same thing.
It's typically done over a 12-month period. That's right.
Wow.
My name is Jasmine Lucas, and I'm an AmeriCorps member with Hands On Nashville. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator. I engage the community and our volunteers and community partners with different volunteer opportunities and let them know what's available. And I do that via social media, our blog, our Hands On Call, and our Show of Hands blog. And I also change out the calendar on our website, so we try to keep those things up to date. Ever since I was 8, I have always been into volunteerism. At every church I've been at, I have volunteered, been a part of, and every other social group and every other club that include volunteering in my university, I'd always been an active part. And so it was just natural for me. I've learned that anything I tried to do as far as in the corporate realm or as far as anything career-wise, like if it didn't involve giving back to the community in a significant way, then I felt a bit empty, and I thought AmeriCorps was that next step for me to find fulfillment in what I like to do. And there's just a vast array of things you can do in AmeriCorps. So many different nonprofits, so many different skills and abilities that they need and personalities that they need. You can choose to serve like with AmeriCorps NCCC, which is where you go to a disaster relief, and you'll be there for like maybe 6 months and you move to another disaster. Or you can do what I'm doing, state and national, and work with a nonprofit that is doing wonderful things in the community already, and you're just helping them build capacity. Or you can do AmeriCorps Vista, which is mainly working in low-income communities. anyone in the community can be a part of something bigger than themselves. There's no boundaries in volunteerism as far as how far you can reach into someone else's life and help them.
So the common denominator seems like might be entities with limited budgets who have unlimited things they need to do in the community, and reaching beyond staff to find teens, adults, children, corporate groups, I'm guessing?
All of that. So the truth is, there's never going to be enough money available to nonprofits to solve social needs, right? I mean, that just, it's not going to happen probably in our lifetime. And so the way that individuals can help is they can go and help an agency do a myriad of things that could be direct service, meaning direct work with the client, to helping an agency with the infrastructure in their office. Skilled volunteerism, for instance, accountant comes in and makes sure that a nonprofit's finance system is set up correctly, things like that.
So that high level a task could be a project through Hands On Nashville.
Yes. We don't get anything done by ourselves. Everything that we do is a call out to the community to say, can you come help with? And so the communication machine, if you will, at Hands On Nashville is as important it's as important to Hands On Nashville as anything else that we do. And so we began to alter that machine to really focus on all the different ways that people could engage in volunteerism. So essentially educating the public that there's always going to be an opportunity to come paint a floor. However, there are the other needs too. And so if you want to give back in a different way, those volunteer opportunities exist also. Simultaneously, we did work with the nonprofits really to help them understand how to make attractive appeals to people. We do these TV programs. It's really important and gets the word out, and we need our floor painted for, and people are much more likely to come engage. And so we do a lot of work. That's the kind of hidden piece of what Hands On Nashville does, is we try to provide technical assistance, if you will, to our partners and share best practices and things like that, so that when volunteers show up wherever they show up, that they have a great experience and that they want to come back and visit with that agency.
I do see the change, and that's very cool. Tell us about, I think you have a new sort of technological, I don't know if it's geared necessarily toward teens, but since we all think of the teens in our lives as maybe the most technically savvy of our friends, is there a new teen and technical volunteerism sort of, what am I learning here?
We partnered with Atiba, JJ Rosin from Atiba.
Yes.
Interesting story about JJ. He was Hands On Nashville's very first intern ever. And then he left and went on to create an IT company. But being true to his roots, he created a program called Geek Calls. And what it essentially is let's get highly skilled technical folks to help nonprofits with IT needs. And so, long story short, we partnered with him ultimately and brought Geek Calls into Hands On Nashville so that we had the infrastructure to really be able to expand and grow and develop the program. So Geek Calls is a program where any nonprofit, whether they're currently a partner with Hands On Nashville or not, they can submit a project, an IT project, and we have a project manager who gets back with the nonprofit, scopes out the project, make sure it's really appropriate, and that the nonprofit has the ability to manage it on their end. And then we get the skilled volunteers, and they come and complete that IT project for them.
I'm Julia Weber. I'm with Tennessee Environmental Council. I am the Organics Management Program Manager, leading our statewide compost campaign, Compost Your Compost. And I recently got really involved with Hands On Nashville. We're working with their AmeriCorps program and have been able to gain 2 awesome AmeriCorps members through that. We've also worked with Geek Cause. We kind of needed help with the technical side of things, and it's been really great. We got this grant from Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation to pretty much help reduce the amount of food waste going to landfill. So we've kind of helped Tennessee residents start composting in their backyards. We focus on the individual. We want to engage at least 1,000 participants throughout all 95 counties of Tennessee, and we just really want to educate and encourage Tennessee residents to reduce their food waste and compost in their backyards. Geek Cause has been kind of a gem for us because we needed help on that technical side of things. We kind of needed that tech savvy brain to come in and be like, this is how you streamline your processes, and this is how we can make this automated instead of manually sorting through data that we used to do. And we used to eat a lot of time and it was a lot of effort, and through Geek Cause we've been able to, like I said, streamline the process for some of this data we rely on for program deliverables with the compost campaign, and we've kind of regained confidence in our data, which is fantastic. So yeah, Geek Cause has been great. We love our volunteer.
I'm Julie Abbott, volunteer and outreach coordinator for Youth Villages. We have many different programs. We have an Intercept program where we have counselors go into the homes, helps keep families together. As a unit, we have group homes for the families that need to be separated for any point in time. For whatever reasons, maybe the parents aren't there, the parents might be incarcerated. It might be to keep the children from becoming incarcerated. We also do foster care, and we have a program that takes care of the kids that have aged out of the foster care system, and we help them up through the age of 24, help them get through college if they need to figure out how to buy a car, if they need to figure out how to stay in an apartment and pay bills. We help them with all of that up through adulthood and make sure that we're putting successful folks out in the world. I'm working with Hands On Nashville through a program called Geek Cause. We had a need to go digital with a system for our Holiday Heroes program. They found a project manager, a business analyst, and a database manager for us that are all now working on the back end to do the things that we don't have the capacity or the skills to do, to build out a digital system and get us off of Excel spreadsheets and handwritten notes. Holiday Heroes, we engage individual volunteers and corporations to go shopping for the kids in our programs. And so it may be a child as young as 3 or 4 years old. It may be an infant child of one of our clients. It may be a sibling of our clients. We make sure that the entire family is taken care of at the holiday time. We ask the counselors to get the top 3 wishes from each client. We ask them to ask for nothing that costs more than $100 to $150, and we try to make those top 3 wishes come true. So we needed a business analysis just to look at the program for us because we needed the fresh eyes. And then our database manager is working on questionnaires for all parts of the process, and then they're also researching barcode systems for us. And they're figuring out how everything integrates within different systems. Without Hands On Nashville's help, we wouldn't be able to do this.
What a rewarding skill set for new types of volunteers to be able to bring. That's
Yes.
cool. In your experience and in your spirit, why do people volunteer?
So many reasons. I think people want to give back. They want to help. And so volunteerism can be a really specific way or a structured way in which they can do that. But also I think people do it, like everybody knows we have however many people a day moving into Nashville now.
All of the people.
Right, all of the people in a day move to Nashville. They try to find connections and build community and friendships. And that goes back to really how Hands On Nashville was founded. I mean, it was basically about building that community. And when you talk to our founding board members and you get them together in a room all these years later, you just see that connection and friendship and that community that lasts forever, I guess.
Nice. Tell me a little bit, if you will, about the financial impact of a volunteer for a nonprofit versus having to have a paid staff person. There's got to be like a huge monetary benefit there.
So there's a federal wage for a volunteer hour, and it's $24 and some change an hour. So that's the most simplistic way to think about it. Points of Light, which is our national organization, has participated and found in research that for every dollar invested in volunteerism, there's a $6 return for the agency.
Wow.
So it amplifies upon itself.
What could someone watching us chat right now do to help Hands On Nashville further their endeavors?
come volunteer.
Yay.
Sign up. Come check out han.org and invest your time. And that can be through one of our partners, and it can be with us. We also take volunteers to help us be able to provide more to nonprofits. So as we enter into the skills arena more and more, we're very much looking for both those people that want to just, because like me, when I volunteer at this point, I want to paint a floor, because my day job is thinking too much. But some people want to take their skill and bring it.
Here's my specialty.
We want
Use it.
all of you,
Yes.
come
Yes.
and check it out and engage.
Okay, Lori, we're at my favorite part of the entire episode.
Okay.
It's the speed round. The game like we used to play when we were kids, where I ask you a question and truly the first thing that comes to your mind, just let it fly.
I will try.
All right, fair enough.
Okay.
Awesome. Here we go. Speed round with Lori Shinton. What is the nickname of the state of Tennessee?
Volunteer state.
Yes, ma'am. What is the team name for the University of Tennessee?
Volunteers.
What type of person can always find a meaningful task through Hands-On Nashville?
Volunteer.
Name 2 tasks that volunteers might do through Hands-On Nashville.
They might do landscaping, and they might clean out a river.
Ooh, good one. Name 2 reasons why people volunteer.
To feel good about giving back and to find community.
Beautiful. What word do you say more than any other word at work?
I don't think I can say that on TV.
What second word do you say more than any other word at work?
Thank you.
Oh, nice. I totally thought you were going to say volunteer. What's the best part of your job?
My staff.
Oh, nice. What's the hardest part of your job?
Not being able to meet every need out there.
Nice. And my friend, easiest question of all, what's your website?
HON.org.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Fantastic.